Everybody, welcome back to Ham Radio Live. It's so good to see you guys. Yeah, I really mean that. Thanks for coming. It's Saturday, January the 11th, 2025. I did it. I didn't make a mistake there. No! Yeah, it was close. I almost said it, but no. 2025. Wow. Welcome to the show. We're going to talk today about QRZ weather. This got that little box, right? The little red box has all the information in it. We're going to talk about what all that information means and how it applies to you in radio. We're also going to talk a little bit for people who might be new to radio or studying for their test, some basic information about how all this works to get your signal from where you are all the way to someone else, where they are. We'll also go into a little bit about what possibly is, and I'm going to say possibly is, the angriest man in amateur radio. Yeah. Yeah, that guy. We'll be talking about maybe a little bit of him today on the show as well. Let's find out who's first, second, third, and everything else on today's program. First up, he's done it again, my goodness, from the United Kingdom. That is our very dear friend Steve. His call sign is Mike 1, Sierra Delta Hotel. Give him a big old beep beep, please. Beep beep. Welcome, Steve. Good to see you as always. Thanks for coming, mate. Good evening, man. It is late your time. Steve, thanks for coming, and thanks for being here a lot. I mean that. I don't take that for granted. It's always good to see you, friends, and that's something that I kind of wonder sometimes. I don't want to put you off by saying I'll come and then I don't come. It's just that right now it's kind of a difficult time in Larry's life. I'll tell you about that. Something in just a little bit about that. Second up, my dear friend from Spokane, Washington. That's Roger McKeon, Kilo Juliet 7 Lima Lima X-Ray. Roger, good to see you. Big applause for Roger. Just got his general license, man. That's good. General license, Roger, welcome. And I hope you get that extra because you'll get it. I promise you. The show will be good today because we have our expert moderator here. Rodney, welcome. Pop Alpha 9 Romeo Whiskey, keeping it clean on the comment section, and a dear friend as well. He created our webpage, and if you haven't seen it, please go to it. It's hamradiolive.org. All that you need to be successful. Pardon me, still facing this doggone cold. We're getting over it, though. Just a second. It's my cough button there, so sorry. But Rodney has done a stellar job on that webpage. You can find out current conditions. If you want to do tropospheric ducting on VHF, you could do that. It's got information about where windows are to the world on radio frequencies that we can use. It also has a whole bunch of stuff about where you can chase certain DX stations. People are doing DX expeditions and stuff. Rodney, outstanding work. Thank you very much for what you do. Thank you. Just because he's being kind to me. That's pretty darn sweet. And Steve, again, thanks for coming. It's good to see you. From the Commonwealth of Virginia, we've got a dear friend there, Whiskey Delta 4 Oscar Bravo Papa. We call him Cliff. Last name Bolts. Welcome, Cliff. Good to see you, my friend. Happy Saturday evening to you there, all the way in Virginia. Andy Bronson, 2 Echo 0. Juliet India Uniform. Andy, thank you for bringing your call sign with you, because I'd have certainly forgotten it. Good to see you, man. Thanks, Andy. And he's a good friend, too. A lot of good people here. If you're new to the channel, these people will love you. They really will. This is a very safe place to ask questions, to talk about radio, to just hang out and make some friends. This is a great place for you to do that. It really is, because of people like Andy and Cliff and Rodney and Steve and everybody here. Roger, everybody. Good people here. Here's another one. Bill Myers. He's in Wisconsin. He's got a great wife named Kelly. They're beautiful people. Call sign Kilo Alpha 8 Golf India. Mike, welcome to the show. Good to see you, my friend. Also, we have, by the way, Rodney says, oh, he did. This is a big upgrade. Hang on. This is very big. We want to make sure and give you big music here. Rodney has added a new thing to the Ham Radio Live website, VOA Cap. And we'll talk about VOA Cap in the next program. Yep, next one. yeah. VOA Cap is something that the Voice of America does for people in radio, whether it be in amateur radio or in marine radio, aviation radio. They explain where good windows are to work to different areas in the world. This is a huge, huge thing. Let me share with you real quick. I'm going to go to my screen real quick, and you're going to see the QRZ thing pop up in giant font, but we're going to do this real quick. Let's go to the Ham Radio Live website because I want to show you what it is. It is, if you've never used it, this is probably the best, I think, the best tool to be able to use if you're going to be doing amateur radio and trying to figure out where to work and all that stuff. So hang on a second. I better do it the right way. hamradiolive.org. It's right there. Okay. So take a look. All this stuff is here. Band conditions. You click on this and you're going to find out what the bands are. All the band conditions, everything in the world. And look at this. This is great. Okay, because it's currently 1:49 p.m. That means afternoon here in the States. And by the way, it shows it's dark here.
That's my boy!
No kidding. Might want to tell the people at the folks that do this, it's not the website's fault. It's a person who runs this. Let them know day and night is messed up. Wow. Yeah, it's currently in the middle of the afternoon here, but it shows dark right there. Anyway, that's just one of the things you could do here, which is kind of cool. Anyway, he's added this, and this is so cool. VOA Cap is right here. You see it? More information can be found on the VOA Cap website. Click on the red name to open the website. Click and watch what happens. This is amazing. This is such a powerful tool to use, okay? You can find out wherever you... Okay, fine. Use my location right there. Okay. This is a great thing because you can find out radio conditions anywhere in the world. Now, this actually shows the real gray line map there. Yeah, shows it's currently light here in North America. But anyway, you can find out, for example, right here, your transmit location. You can either use your grid, which, you can find online, or you can use your QTH. And then wherever you want to transmit to, you can put that there or their grid, right? And then once you fill that all in, you can simply just scroll down. You go, oh, by the way, you also have these over here. What mode are you going to use? You want to use FT8, FT4, right? Maybe FT8. And you want to find out where sites are where you can work currently on FT8. That's pretty cool, right? Also, what kind of power are you going to use? All the way from QRP, way past QRP levels, up to, some pretty good power, right? So you can use all of that. And you may wonder, wait a minute, you can't go over 1500 watts. Well, if you have gain antennas, like set in stacked Yagis, yep, you've got gain, and you may be putting out 10,000 watts, 20,000 watts. It's true, just because the gain of the antenna, right? So let's just figure you got a regular 100-watt radio, right? And you're trying to do FT8 or whatever. You have your antennas right here. They pop up. You set whatever antenna you may have. You're not sure on the receiver site. Don't worry about it. You don't need to worry too much about that. Just make sure that your antenna and the band that you're on is there. And then you can work it from there. It's pretty simple. We'll talk about VOA Cap on the next show, though. I didn't want to go too far in it, but Rodney got that in. That's such a big deal. Rodney, thank you very, very much. Wow. That's awesome, man. We got VOA Cap. That's really cool. Thank you for that, Rodney. That's just some pretty cool stuff right there. Andy Bronson said, oh my gosh, I thought it was Dolly Parton. It's been a while, right? I was between that. I got to be honest. I even texted my wife, said, Karen, I'm between a couple of songs here. I'm between... And this is funny. True. It's true. It was originally between AC/DC, right? And the song Dueling Banjos, which I was going to play for Andy Newman in Bristol. But I kind of was playing around with the phone. I was listening to music. I was like, man, I haven't played Let Me Be There forever. And such a great song. So that's how that all happened. There you go. Gary Strong, welcome. That's Las Vegas, Nevada's call sign. Whiskey 9 Papa Yankee. If it'll just click for me here. Hello. There we go. We have his. There, it's on the screen. Wow. It's slow today. Bit slow. From Norway, that's Kjell Jarsted. Good to see you. Lima Bravo Zero Yankee India, a good friend of the program. We're grateful you are here. Sparky from Guitar Town, USA. That's Waukesha, Wisconsin. Call sign Kilo 9 Golf Tango Romeo. I love it. GTR Golf Town Radio. Sorry, Guitar Town Radio. I said golf. Sorry. That's not very good. I'm sorry about that. We've got a new viewer here, 2000 Puni. And I hope I say it right. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. He says, hi from Dell, call sign Mike Zero Papa Zulu November in Margate, England. That's a brand new viewer. My name's Larry Dio. My call sign's Kilo 7 Hotel November. Welcome to the Little Shack in Oregon. It's nice to have you. Thanks for coming, Dell. Isn't that great? Wow. Thanks, Dell, for coming today. It's good to see you. And Kelly says hello. Well, hello to Kelly. Good to see you. And Rodney, more power.
That's all, folks.
See you later. Larry's messed up. Yeah. Rodney, yeah, the MUF gray line is indeed lagging from the original website. It sure as heck is. Rob Q, Ham Radio Live Rocks. Thank you, Rob. Appreciate you. We're going to show your video today on the program. Yes, we are. It goes about the angriest man in ham radio. Could it be? Who knows? But if there was like an award ceremony, I bet this guy would be on the award stand for being up for the award. Man. And yes, we do have a Discord group. Thank you, Rodney, for clicking that in. That's the link. If you'd like to join us on Discord and our conversation there, please do. We'd love to have you. Be honored to be able to do that for you. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. First, we want to talk about amateur radio and you. If you've thought about getting your amateur radio license, maybe you're somebody who has been doing shortwave DXing a long time. I get a lot of neat emails from Over the Horizon Radio of people that want EQSL cards, right? And they talk about, you can always tell the hams because they'll use words like 5.9 or QSB, things like that. So I know they're hams, right? But there's others that will say a standard signal report, which is very classic for shortwave listeners. Maybe you've thought about getting your amateur radio license. First of all, let me say this. You can pass the test. You can. It's not that hard. If you have the passion of radio and you love radio, you love the DX, right? You already are a leg up on this because you have the desire already. Contact the radio club near you. That's going to be your best help because that radio club can help you understand the test, help you to answer questions you might have about the test, and sometimes even give you the test. Like here in the States, radio clubs give the test that gets you licensed. But maybe you don't know where the club is. And that's common, right? We don't do phone books anymore. Tom and I were talking about that the other day. We were talking about things we missed from the past. Just a second. Excuse me. Things we missed from the past. And Tom brought up, he was talking with his wife about it, that something that he misses from the past is phone books. Remember at the beginning of the year, we'd get a new phone book, right? Long gone. Those don't exist anymore. But to find a local club to you, you can use something like a phone book because the American Radio Relay League has it. So does the Radio Society of Great Britain, Radio Amateurs of Canada, Wireless Institute of Australia has it. They're great people worldwide that can help you find that local club to you. Just reach out to the American Radio Relay League. That's one of the groups, www.arrl.org. Click on the Contact Us bar. Then just let them know you'd like to get your amateur radio license and where you live in the world, and they'll send back to you a local to you amateur radio club that you then contact. And man, if you want your license, you can do this. I guarantee you can do this. www.arrl.org. We have a show email, which now works. I was frozen out of the doggone thing. The thing stinking knocked me out, and I couldn't get on my emails for like 5 days. It locked me out. But now I'm back. hamradiolive.org. That is the email, hamradiolive.org. Facebook, Ham Radio, one word, space live. That's Ham Radio, one word, space live. Today's topic question: what's something you'd like to learn more about in radio? We learn so much, and some people think that radio is either a Morse code paddle or a microphone. No, there's a lot more to it than that. A ton more. You might want to work the Aurora Borealis. If you're in the north and it comes out normally, right? You might want to make contact via that. You may want to do digital modes like text messaging, or Olivia like text messaging, Thor, those kind of things, or like texting somebody else. You may just want to connect with people worldwide and see how far away your antenna is reaching. That's digital modes like FT8, FT4. You can reach the world with your little radio. No kidding. But the thing that's important is learning those things. And I'm sure I'll have people who'll say, I'd like to learn Morse code. That's me too. I would like to learn it. It kept me out of getting my license for a long time. Truly did. Maybe it's something else for you. Put it in the comment section. I'd be interested in knowing about your thing that you would like to learn more about in amateur radio. We also are heard on WRMI shortwave out of Okeechobee. There's two shows. First one, CQ Calling. It's an amateur radio show about news and information. It's powered by ICOM for the love of ham radio. It's broadcast worldwide. Here are the times and frequencies where you can catch that. Also, Over the Horizon Radio, it's 1 hour of music back on shortwave, my goodness. Yep. What a trip that is. It's so much fun to play popular music on shortwave. And the emails I get, man, I got to tell you guys, seriously, the emails are fantastic, that people are just so excited that they found popular music on shortwave. It's just great. Here are times and frequencies where you can catch the show. And if you want to make a song request or something, you can do that at othrequests@gmail.com. Thing I'm really looking for is music history questions. Things like, we got one where someone asked the female act, I'm trying to go from memory, female act that had the most hits but never reached number one. And it was Martha and the Vandellas. No kidding. I found that I learned something there. othrequests@gmail.com is that address. Just a second. And the topic question was something you'd like to learn more about in radio. Welcome worldwide. Let me go through your comments here and we'll get to you. And thank you for coming around the world. It's always a pleasure for me to say hello to you. It is. Thank you guys. Yep. Let's see. I know it's coming. Yep. There it is. Rodney, thank you for that Discord link. Then Rodney talks about this. Ham Radio Live. I don't think it will beat the police video I sent you. The police video is great. You know, it reminded me of Bob, my brother. We used to watch police chase videos a lot. That was his favorite thing. And the most awful thing about those was that they'd be like an hour and a half. And it'd be like an hour and a half of hearing a siren going all the time. And I'd say, Bob, this video, it's an hour and a half long. They're only going to really get interesting at the end. Let's watch like the last 20 seconds. He'd go, well, I'd kind of like to watch the whole thing. Jeez. Oh, man. I'd step out of the house. I'd let him watch the siren going off forever. And then all of a sudden, you know.
It doesn't pay to court disaster, Robin.
They'd find the guy and they'd get him in handcuffs. The rest was history. Yes. Oh, I miss my brother. Really do. Dale's here. Hi, Dale. Welcome. It's good to see you. Whiskey 5 Delta Sierra Lima, friend of the program. Thank you for coming. Good to see you. And thank you, Rodney, about the like button and the thumbs up. That's cool. Chris joins us from the UK. Golf 7 Victor Echo Oscar. Good evening to you. Thanks for coming, my friend. Wow. All the way from the United Kingdom. It's always so cool. Wendy joins us too. Hi, Wendy. Good friend of our program. And we're honored you're here. A very happy New Year to you, Wendy. Really mean that. Whiskey 4 Lima Sierra. Welcome. Let's give Wendy a big applause. Hi, Wendy. Good to see you as always. Yep, always. And Rodney, thanks for the link to the ARRL. Folks that might want to get your license, a great way right there to get into amateur radio. Don joins us. Hi, Don. He says, this is, by the way, his call sign, November 5 Sierra Kilo Tango. He says, what is really nice to have if you have a beam is a great circle map. That's true. Absolutely. Yeah. What are you talking about? If you have a beam antenna, right? A circle map of just how far you can reach with that beam. Ooh, boy. What a dream. Good stuff. Don, thank you for that. Appreciate it. That's really cool. Bill Myers, Wisconsin. He says, I remember sitting to the phone book when I was a small kid at a lot of restaurants. Yes. I remember that too. Remember, you were too little to sit at the table, and so they bring you like a booster seat, or if they didn't have one, they might have two of the phone books. And you sat on the phone book. That was the way it was. Great stuff. Thank you very, very much. And we got a new person as well. Thank you for coming. November 3, Whiskey Echo Romeo Ham Radio Elmer. It is good to see you. Welcome. My name is Larry Dio, Kilo 7 Hotel November. Thanks for coming. Good to see you. Really nice to have you. He says, radio clubs talk for hours about club funds and helping with little help given. Best thing to do is find an Elmer that's willing to help you. One that is or is a volunteer examiner's A+++. He's right. Absolutely right. And that kind of goes into the dynamics and politics of radio clubs. Kind of like everything, right? Everything has its positives and negatives, but connect with a club. And especially if somebody is passionate about helping you, they're called an Elmer in amateur radio. That person is your best friend because they can help you. They'll guide you. They'll challenge you, which is what you need to get the license passed. Great comment. Thank you very, very much. Good comment for sure. I think it's comment of the show. That's the comment of the show. Absolutely. Let's see. Here's this is great. This is awesome. From the UK, this is Dell. I used to love looking at the Radio Shack catalog in the UK. It was called Tandy. Yes, a Tandy Corporation. Big applause for that. Wow. Gosh, I forgot about that. That's been a while. Yeah, Tandy Corporation. Wow, that's the same thing here. That's awesome. Thanks for joining us, Dell. It's good to see you. Rodney says, on today's topic question, to be honest, hard to say. There is too much to learn and experience. And that might be new to hear from somebody that's in amateur radio and has accomplished a great deal. He says the key words, too much to learn and experience. You may spend your whole life starting out young in amateur radio, right? And not learn everything because there's so many elements to it. Rodney continues, if someone says that they know everything, they are lying, but my wish is to relearn Morse code. Rodney, nice comment. Thank you for that. Bill Myers from Wisconsin, he says, topic question, this is cool. Nothing we could do. Slow scan television. I started playing around with SSTV, but need to figure out what I need to have a proper QSO using slow scan television. And what's cool about this, I love this, Bill, the space station goes over and multiple times a year, they will send out a number of slow scan television images for people on Earth who are looking for those images to come in on their radios. Oh my gosh, it's fantastic. Bill, that's a nice comment. I forgot about slow scan television. Thank you for that. Let's see. Don says, I'm relearning the old BBS stuff with packet radio. I haven't done it in 30 years and it takes a lot of learning, building a TNC, building cables for different radios and setting up the software. Don, that's fantastic. It's good that you're doing that. Keep up the good work. That's good. Good stuff. Dale says antenna modeling. Okay, good one. Great YouTube channel. I'm sure you've used it. Went there many times, most likely. Callum McCormick at DX Commander. Excellent stuff. Callum has forgotten more about radio antennas than I'll learn in my entire life. No kidding. He's a wonderful man, too. And if you have questions, Dale, he's good at answering those about antenna modeling. He uses Easy Neck and all kinds of software, and he'll show you how a transmitter start over. He'll show you how an antenna will transmit, which is really cool. Dale, thanks. Nice comment about that. That's great. Bill Myers continues, I think I just figured out how to get my ICOM 7300 to talk to my iMac, but I haven't tried transmitting that yet. Keep going. Keep going. Yeah. Wow. Slow scan television since the 80s. I do like it, but have not since the 90s. That's interesting. See, but he's tried it, right? Because it's always kind of an adventure when you're trying something new. You've never done an amateur radio, right? So you're trying it out, and either you like it or you don't. But what's neat if you don't is there's so many other things you can do in amateur radio. Like lots of people, you'd be surprised how many people say they don't like using a microphone. There's tons of them. But they love to use the keyboard. And there are so many things you can do in amateur radio. Believe it or not, my radio just timed out on me and the screen went off. So now the screen is back on again and the world is a happier place. There we go. Good comment. Thank you for that. You can always try something different. Andy, welcome. Mike 7, Charlie Union November. That's the mate from Bristol I told you about. Andy. I was so close, this close to playing a song for you to start the show out with. And it reminded me of you because I know you really like picking with, guitars. So I thought about this one. It really did. This was a big song that was in the States in the early 70s. It was called Dueling Banjos. Now, Andy plays guitar. He knows how to do this stuff. So, Andy, I thought of you. I promise a show is coming on shortly where we play Dueling Banjos, okay? It's such a fun song. Haven't heard it for a long time either, but you're the guy I thought of. So hang in there, Andy. We'll get that going. Rob Q in LA. I always want to learn more about ham radio antennas. Another good guy again, Callum McCormick. I cannot recommend him better. He's that good. He's the best in the world, maybe. Steve, Mike 1, Sierra Delta Hotel said, right, I'd like to learn more about DMR. I have 3 DMR repeaters near me and just ordered a DMR radio, but don't really understand it yet. Great comment, Steve. Thank you. That's a very good comment and something I think that a lot of people might want to learn too. Thank you. So many things in amateur radio and that radios do, which is amazing. The Maestro Duke has joined us all the way from Ontario, Canada. Big applause. Hi, Duke. He says, hello, radio fellow enthusiasts and hams from Victor Echo 3 land. He said, I'm back from dinner and hope you're all well. It's 1702 there. Good to see you, my friend. Let's see here. Peter Sundstrom, welcome back from Sweden. Good to see you. This call sign Sierra Mike 4, Papa Echo Lima. Join on in the conversation. Peter, we're talking about something you'd like to learn in amateur radio. We'd love to join you with that. Richard joins us. It's our first timer, I believe. Mike 7, Delta Lima, Quebec. I'm Larry Dio, Kilo 7, Hotel November. Richard, welcome to the show. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming, buddy. Really mean that. The Meister Duke says, this one's a tough one. I'd love to learn more about how journalists and announcers get that crisp radio voice, as well as how to achieve some of that so-called magic some ops boast about. A lot of that, Duke, is with your equipment. It really is. I mean, equalizers can help you, certainly. Parametrics, really good. You have to learn how to use them because they can be really testy sometimes. Compression can help. Amplification sometimes can help. Radios have on board, speech processors as well that help you, but you just don't want to overuse them because then you sound distorted. So there's a lot of stuff. Microphones is a big deal. I did a segment a while back, must be a year and a half ago now, on this program about different microphones and how they can make your voice sound different. It's amazing how much a microphone helps. Dude, that's a nice comment. I like that. Thank you. That's a nice comment. Yeah. I try to get it before the whoop goes out. But sometimes you need a drink of water. Duke, thank you. Thanks for joining the show. He also says, by the way, continued, when I say magic, I mean things like somehow getting a clear 5.9 despite hearing the other person much weaker, or how to get told to slow down or speed up on CW, things like that. Slow down and speed up are Q codes. QRS, slower, right? If you look at the Q codes and learn them, like Morse code guys, they know them by heart. They're just brilliant. I told the story last show about a guy that could do like 3 radios at once, hear them all in Morse code, answer them all individually. It's amazing, these people, how gifted they are. But I love that. And you talk about how the crisp radio voice, it's all done in processing. It truly is. Microphone first, and then your processing, your speech processor. Those two things are what separate great radio voices on the air and voices that just sound normal. Some people like that. Also, bandwidth. Bandwidth, if you're using spread spectrum, for example, which is technically illegal to use it to make yourself sound like a radio guy. It does sound good, but it can be very obnoxious to people who are trying to get on the band too, because instead of using 3 kilohertz or 6 for AM, now you're using like 10 because you want to sound like some guy on FM radio, right? So a lot of that's done that way too. But most of it is microphone first, processing second. That's how they get that. Good to see you. Thanks for coming to the show today. First timer, Sierra Mike 6, Yankee Echo Charlie, Sierra Mike 6, Park on the Air, Swedish amateur radio station. Hello from Sweden. Hello, my name's Larry. I live in Northwest Oregon. Kilo 7 Hotel November. Welcome to the show tonight. Thanks for coming. It's good to see you. Thanks for being a part of our show. Andy Bronson in the UK said, I have enjoyed Parks on the Air lately and looking forward to making many more homemade antennas for it. Great comment. Two things. He goes out and uses Parks on the Air. That's fun because you get to work apart. Second thing is he's making antennas at home and he's trying them out at the park. That's really cool, Andy. That's really cool. Two elements of amateur radio being used there, right? He's making the antennas himself. He's bringing them to parks to test them. I love that. That's a great comment. Really is. I think, Don, sorry, I completed an SSTV QSO with a person doing a summit on the air. That's pretty sweet. Thanks, Don, for that. Good comment. And I think, Maestro Duke, everybody knows Dueling Banjos. I'm almost 20 and I know every note of that. That's a good song. Excellent. Yeah, a long time ago. No question. 1:30 being his birthday. Happy birthday on the 30th, sir. That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, Andy, I thought you would. I swear, man, it was right there. And then all of a sudden I heard the Olivia Newton-John song. I was like, oh, that would be good too. But it's coming for you. That's coming for you. Info Dog. Hi, Info Dog. Good to see you. Welcome back to the show. Happy New Year to you. I hope you're doing well. Also, code learning one time this is a good comment. Listen carefully. Code learning one at a time is best. Let's just say you master the letter A and then master it in a day. Now it's frozen in your brain. You master it now. Just mastered it in a day. Let's see what you can do after. You can tell he works with people, right? Two things stand out. How to do it and when to do it. Two things. You learn it in a day and you practice it. Good work. Keep up the good work helping people out. Seriously. If you want to be a regular at this show, we can forward new people to you. That'd be great because, Elmering, it takes a heart to be an Elmer in amateur radio. And an Elmer, for people who may have just joined the program, is somebody who'll come alongside you and wants to help you get licensed in amateur radio or license up. They have great hearts, and they really do mean when they say, I'd like to help you. That's a wonderful thing. Thank you for having that. It's good stuff. So you can do it in 100 days. There's your guy right there. Morse code. Good stuff. Chris in the UK, I'd like to learn how to speak in a 1940s BBC radio voice.
This Larry moment brought to you by Smokey's Ham Radio Repair. If it's smoking, send it to Smokey.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Rodney, shall I make a channel or Discord for antenna stuff? Go for it. Absolutely, Rodney. Thank you for that. Yeah. Antenna stuff, because Rodney knows a lot about antennas too. He's very, very good at it. Ron from Kean said, I'd like to learn how to make contact over satellite. So using satellite communication, another big deal in amateur radio. And it's really a popular thing in amateur radios too. And Roger, thank you for that comment. That's not been added yet. Here is a gentleman who works for the Radio Society of Great Britain. He is incredibly intelligent. He's got a wonderful YouTube channel, and he can teach you an awful lot about antennas. That's our friend Tim. Golf 5 Tango Mike. Big applause. Great to see you, Tim. Happy New Year, buddy. Gosh darn good to have you here. Thanks for coming. There's a guy right there. There's your antenna guy. He's good at it. And he also does work with the Radio Society of Great Britain, which I love very, very much. Yeah. Let me just make sure we're good because I've got a segment I want to show you, which is good. I hope you like it. Andy says, Larry, anything planned for the 3rd of February show? Be nice to start with Buddy Holly's song on his anniversary of his sad death. Andy, well, you brought that to my attention. I'll do that. When is the 3rd of February? Hold on. So I'm trying to get these done on weekends. Let me kind of wake the smartphone up. Oh, I could tell you stories here, but we're not going to do it. 3rd of February is on a Monday. We'll try and get that done. Okay. Thank you, sir. Wow. Smartphone. right to the floor. Great. Good thing there's carpeting here. Make sure I'm not missing anybody here. I want to make sure we got everything done. I think so. And thanks, Tim. Gosh, what a nice comment. I'm honored you're here. I mean that. Ronnie says, but I guess you're right, though. Thinking about it would need some processing power for... Yeah, need processing. Absolutely. To really make the radio voice, to make it different. Yeah. And to give you a good example of the voice difference in just the microphone. Just the microphone. Here's this sound here. And I'm going to use these are two broadcast quality microphones. This is the RE320. This is the RE27. You'll see this on most, like a lot of like sports shows and news shows, stuff like that. Anyway, here is the RE320. Let me just show you the difference in sound between the RE320 and the RE27. You see? Bigger difference, right? You can really hear the compression from my compressor in this microphone. And some of you might say, well, doggone it, Larry, why aren't you using that microphone instead? I've thought about it. I've played with the filters on it. But this gives you a good idea just what a microphone does in this Duke, just the microphone alone. The microphone, I think, is the most essential part of making yourself sound great in amateur radio. Now I'll move back to the original mic. Hang on. I don't like that sound. That's a very bad sound. Anyway, that's a microphone thing for you. And it makes a big difference. So I hope you like that. I think we're good. Let me do this. Good. All right. We're going to talk about something that, oh, hey, hold on a second. Here we go. When I passed my test, and I love this, so I'm going to say it. The people said I couldn't pass all three in one sitting, 0 to extra in one. And I said, I will. And I knew I could through Christ. I did. And when I passed all three, they came to me, kept asking, how did you do this? And I said, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. I did that. And that's why it's the first thing on my QRZ page, if you look at it, because that's what I truly believe. Anyway, let's get to something that's also important, but maybe important to you. Did you know there's a Dream Station sweepstakes going on right now? Yeah, this goes on all through the year. The American Radio Relay League has a big deal for people who are the ARL members here in the States. All right, so folks that are in Europe, I'm sorry. Look what they're giving away. An IC7760, that's the 60th anniversary radio, 200-watt transceiver. It's a brand new radio from ICOM. They're giving away an ICPW2 1 kilowatt linear amp plus an SM50 advanced desktop microphone. How do you enter? These are the ways you enter. And you can only have 6. So 6 during the year-long campaign have to be here in the U.S. That's what it says. Participation in the sweepstakes is open to ARRL full members in the U.S. See official rules. Members will automatically earn sweepstakes entry when they, here's how you get them. 1, join or renew your membership, get 1 entry. 2 entries if you set up an auto renewal for your membership. See how it works? It's there to help the ARRL grow and keep growing because you're now saying, okay, well, I'll re-up for 2 more years or whatever. Here's my card information. The third is to donate to the ARRL Diamond Club, and that gives you 1 entry for every $50 that you donate. That's how you do it. And more information about how you can win the ICOM Dream Station is available on the ARRL website. Just look at it at www.arrl.com and then hit news. You'll find it. Today's topic question, something you'd like to learn more about in radio. We'll get to that shortly. We are in solar cycle number 25, and solar cycle 25 was supposed to be pretty weak. In fact, the area you see in the gray is what they propose. That's what they thought it would be. It's a forecast of it, right? The actual dotted, the dashed lines that go up and down, little dots, that's what has performed for solar cycle 25. So we're way ahead of where we should be as of January, okay? This is really cool because we're seeing numbers that are pretty similar to about 4 solar cycles ago. This is good stuff. But one of the things that I've wondered about for a long time, I've had people ask me questions because I do solar weather sometimes here. I'm not like the best at solar weather, but I can help you with what it means. On QRZ, when you go to the page, you're going to see the little box that says weather, right? And that little weather page, let me try and see if I can bring it out to you real quick, because I do have one little blank page here, and I will give it to you here in a second. The weather page, if you take a look at it real quick, it is something kind of simple. You take a look at, just a second as I move my water over. When you go on to QRZ, and you see their full page, it comes across, and let me just kind of show it to you real quick. If you're not like acquainted with going to QRZ, this might seem like I'm not speaking English to you. So it will look like this. Let me pop it on the screen. QRZ looks like this, and there's a black box at the top that's got like a round circle in it. That's the weather. Okay. And I've had people who've asked me, what does all that stuff mean? I'm not sure what like this means, or like X-ray and all this stuff. What does it mean? We're going to talk about that today. And if you're going into amateur radio, or you have an interest in radio, period, let's start here. It has to start at the ionosphere. Okay. Because this is how our radio signals work. You may wonder, how does a radio signal get from Florida all the way to England? Well, it gets there through the ionosphere. The signal goes up, it refracts off of a segment of the ionosphere that can bring it back down to Earth. Now, there are technically 1, 2, 3, 4 regions. The D region's open during the daytime, all right? And there's a little signal thing that says it's 10 megahertz and less is blocked here. That's at the D region. It won't block all the signal, but it will attenuate them. And what that means by that is it won't let them go all the way up to the F region. It's going to get to the E region and skip a little shorter. It's not going to go as far. That's why people can keep in contact in local areas like Hawaii, for example, and they'll use, the 60 meter band, or they might use 40, because during the daytime, it's not going to go that far. That D region swallows up most of the signal. But when we look at things like solar storms, okay, the sun blasts out a solar flare, for example, or a coronal mass ejection, right? It goes towards the Earth, and the magnetosphere of the Earth repels a lot of it. But the shock of the solar jolt, basically, to put it bluntly, is going to offset the weather conditions within the ionosphere. That's why, if you remember the last show we had a blackout, right? It was the middle of the day here in the States. And look at the numbers. Okay. Shows you what most people look at would be the HF conditions. Everything's poor. Then you go below that, geomagnetic field, severe storm. See that? That's because of the magnetosphere of our Earth being hit really hard with a solar flare. That's why that happened. Or coronal mass ejection, I should say. All right. So when we have a solar storm, we're going to have things happen where our radio communications just go out, period. Normal radio communications exist not only from the ionosphere and back to other places, but through airplanes and satellites and things like that. But a solar storm can knock things down when that happens. Now, the day we had the blackout on the 1st of January, these were our conditions, right? And if you go different days, you'll see that it changes, right? Here it was really bad. We had a K8, which is a G4 storm. That's the biggest storm you can get. The K index only goes to 9. So that means we were right at the edge of being at the top of the chart. It was a big time storm, right? So there's places you can go besides QRZ. There's Solar Ham. That's another site you can look at and find out what weather is. You can look at MUF maps, and then you'll see, well, why isn't it daytime in the States? That was today's. This is maximum usable frequencies, but it really doesn't have anything to do with that little box on QRZ. All right. Let's take a look at things here real quick. Okay. This is today's QRZ conditions. I want to go through everything here. I thought about doing it with a share screen, but when I do that, everything magnifies and it just is too hard to follow. We're going to go top left and to the bottom right. That's what we're going to do. All right. top left, you see the date and the time. Okay, that's right now. These are the conditions. Okay, solar flux index, that's SFI, first number 157. Okay, this is a measurement of the sun's radio emissions at a wavelength of 2800 megahertz, which is 10.7 centimeters. It's a number that indicates the sun's overall level of radiation output, and it's reported in solar flux units. Okay, solar flux index 157. SFI is a good example of what conditions are like. 69, really low. Over 200, high. You can get up to 300 plus. It depends on how ionized the sun is, getting the ionosphere. As solar particles hit, and this is created from a lot of sunspots on the sun being on the Earth-facing side, without a coronal mass ejection, okay, and without a solar flare, just a lot of sunspots, okay, the solar radiation to the ionosphere gets supercharged. That's what brings the SFI up. That's how radio communication goes really long distances, and it's also how daytime frequencies become nighttime frequencies too, because the ionization from the sun is so strong. That's how it happens. The number next to SFI is SN. All right. You'll see this as SSN as well, which is smooth sunspot number. SN means sunspot number. Okay. It's a metric used to measure the number of sunspots visible on the surface of the sun. Now, let me show you an example of this. It's done really well through the magnetosphere view of the sun. Okay. If you take a look here, there are 8 sunspot numbers here, right? But there's more than 8 showing up on today's solar number. The reason for that is it's not just the regions. These regions are numbered. The sunspot region, for example, that's right, at the center of the screen is sunspot region number 3950. Okay. When you talk about the sunspot number, we're talking about the region itself plus the spots. It's a smooth sunspot number. So you're taking the amount of solar radiation from the spots that are hitting Earth. That's the sunspot number. That's SN. Okay? Good way to see it is through the magnetosphere view of the sun. Okay, next, the A index. This is, think of it as a long-term view of Earth's geomagnetic field. Okay, remember we talked about how the storms can hit and our magnetosphere can fire off, but then it jolts the magnetosphere around the Earth and it causes solar conditions to deteriorate, right? Well, this number relates to that in a long-term number. So if you were to take a 24-hour period of the sun's radiation that is hitting basically the ionosphere and impacting it in a negative way, that number is going to be higher. Okay, so A is over a 24-hour period. It means a measurement of the level of geomagnetic activity over a 24-hour period, essentially indicating how disturbed. This isn't a good thing, it's a bad thing. How disturbed the Earth's magnetic field is due to solar activity. Remember, it's 24 hours long. It comes from the K index. The K index is next to it. See, the K is after A. K is 3 in this number. All right. The K index is measured every 3 hours. So the K index gives you what's happening basically now. The A index is an average of the last 24 hours. When we had the solar blackout, look at these numbers. A was 14, but K was 8. That means it was happening right now. Within the last 3 hours, it was up to an 8. That A number went way up later in the day. After the 3-hour numbers kept adding up, right? The A number then went up. That's how it works. So this number, the K index, it really has to do with 0, which is calm. That means we're going to have pretty much static free conditions. We're not going to have a lot of fade. We're not going to have static, a lot of background noise. Okay. So 0 is calm. 9 is severe on the K. So if you remember on the 1st of January, the K. Here it is a 3, and the K3 is good. That's not bad. But here we had a K8. And remember, the K index starts at 0, goes to 9. That's how it works, all right? See you later, Duke. Thanks for coming. We go from K, and now we hit the X-ray, B9.1, right? All right, X-ray index indicates the strength of a solar flare, with higher values representing more intense flares, which uses what's called a logarithmic scale, where X signifies the most powerful flares, followed by M, C, B, and A. You find this on SolarHam. You do right there. That little box there that's in the white looks kind of like a heartbeat. That's the solar flare detection screen right there. It shows you what the sun is doing. The day it was a blackout, look at that. We were at a C 5.4. So that meant we were in the middle of a severe storm. That's why it was the way it was. Today, it's much better. We're at a B level, 9.1. B is quiet. That's a good thing. So that's what that X-ray means. That X-ray number means that, all right? 304A is referring to the measurement of the sun's ultraviolet radiation at a wavelength of 304 angstroms. Okay, you may say, what? What does that mean? It's primarily emitted by ionized helium in the sun's photosphere, which indicates the strength of a solar UV radiation at that specific wavelength. Now, it's closely related to the level of ionization in the Earth's ionosphere and impacts HF radio propagation conditions. Let's look at the 304A today, 152.7. That's a great number. The blackout date, we'll look at the 304A here. Look at that. 171.4. Big difference between those two. We're getting jolted pretty hard. Today, it's not bad. It's pretty good. Proton flux is next. That's number 9. It indicates solar weather indicates the intensity of high-level protons coming from the sun, essentially measuring the amount of radiation from solar proton events, which can be harmful to satellites and astronauts. Remember, this goes into satellite issues too. It's often used to determine the severity of a solar radiation storm based on the number of protons detected per unit area per second. This higher flux indicates a more intense radiation storm. I keep going back to January 1st for a reason. This is why. Take a look at the proton flux here today. It's a 9, but look at the day we had the blackout. Look at that, 1180. That's a huge difference. That's how bad things were that day. The proton flux level was 1180. Today, much better. We're only at 9. See how much that can really impact things? The electric flux is next. That's the 3030 today number, all right? What this is, it's not commonly used anymore, but when it refers to radio weather, it indicates the intensity of the sun's radio emissions at a specific frequency of about 2800 megahertz. It essentially acts as a measure of overall solar activity. Now, a higher solar flux value signifies greater solar activity and generally better conditions for HF-DX radio conditions, right? Electric flux here, 3030. Blackout day, look at that. We were way jolted, 5950. That's why everything went bad. If you look at the HF conditions, everything's poor, but today, look at everything's good. We'll talk about HF in a moment. Aurora's next, and this really has to do with how things are going with the Aurora Borealis and Aurora Australis, right? The Aurora Latitude's next. It'll show you what degree it's at right now on Earth latitude. They both go hand in hand. That's how that works. Because a lot of people work the Aurora Borealis. We've shown shows that show aurora weather here. Remember that? We've talked about that. And aurora weather, when you talk to work the aurora, it sounds really raspy and whispery, almost like a haunted movie. It sounds really, really weird. But when you talk about the aurora, its condition, we're talking about where it is and how strong it is. And right now, the aurora latitude is about 67.5 degrees. Aurora typically, the Aurora Borealis at least, I can talk about that. The aurora borealis typically is going to be somewhere between 65 and 75 degrees. In the north, that's where it's at. Same thing in the south. Usually that's where we're at with the aurora, okay? When you start to see it go southward, okay, that's when we start to have the aurora borealis slide into maybe mid-Canada, could reach the northern states, and you can use it to work radio communications. It's kind of cool. BZ latitude, you'll have that on your test. BZ is the northward component of the solar wind magnetic field, okay, which means which direction on planet Earth is that BZ going? Okay, that's really important. When the BZ is negative, it shows up red or yellow, and it'll show it in degrees, right? BZ north, good. That means fade. We shouldn't have much fading on the bands. The fading is through the BZ. Solar wind is a measurement of solar wind at speed. Therefore, we see the solar wind is at 379.5 kilometers per second, right? When we looked at this the other day, again, quiet conditions today, pretty good. K3, it's kind of getting a little loud. It's unsettled, but it's close to being quiet. That's the main thing. Take a look at solar wind during the blackout. 522.1. That's big. When it gets over 500,000 kilometers per second, it turns yellow, and the BZ was negative. So everything was going bad on the first day of this year. So there you go. Solar wind 379.5. Okay. HF conditions. This is going to bore a lot of people. I don't want it to come back in 5 minutes. It'll be that long. These are grouped for a reason. Okay. 80 and 40 are impacted on Earth's D layer. 80 and 40 meters are both under 10 megahertz. Therefore, the D region during the day is going to absorb a lot of their signal. You can still get through. You're just not going to go very far. That's the whole point of it. So when we're talking about 80 and 40 being together, they're nighttime bands, typically nighttime. Now, the conditions here show poor. Today, they show poor. And you may ask, well, why is that? That doesn't seem right. Poor for day. Remember, the D layer absorbs those frequencies, right? And the D layer has some charge to it today. That's why. So it has more of a problem getting the signals out, period. It's usually poor during the day. Nighttime fair, all right? Let's talk about that. Nighttime frequencies, 80 and 40, always are regarded in the same because they're both under 10 megahertz. 30 and 20 are grouped together, but it's interesting. 30 is right about 10 megahertz. That's the point on the ionosphere that the D layer no longer absorbs signals. 30 meters is over 10 megahertz. Therefore, that signal is going to get up to the E or F1, F2 region during the daytime. 30 meters and 20 meters are put together for a reason. They're both daytime bands, but they're also the lowest frequencies you can use all night long if the ionosphere is supercharged from a high SFI for multiple days. That's why you can work 20 meters late into the night, because there's enough ionization in the E layer and the F layer at night that 20 meters still works. So does 30. They work really, really good. These two bands generally are daytime bands. 20 meters is the most reliable of all the high frequency bands. But when you get a high SFI for 3 or 4 days and you have a low K index, take K2 or lower, you'll have great conditions, and they can be used for many hours after night. That's why 30 and 20 say good at night, because there's enough charge to the ionosphere that the 30 meter band and the 20 meter band frequency, so let's say 14.2 megahertz, is going to go all the way into the morning hours when there's a high SFI for a period of 3 or 4 days. And we've had that. We were over 200 this week. So SFI has been high. Now look at 15 and 17. Both say good for each day and night. These are both considered daytime bands. For about, if a solar cycle lasts 11 years, right? Of those 11 years, 6 of them, 15 and 17, will be daytime bands. But there's 5. And those 5 are where those bands tend to work longer at night. When you get real close to the solar peak, and the reason I brought the solar cycle up at the very beginning of this is look where we're at. We're at the peak. That's where we're at right now of solar cycle 25. We're at the peak of this solar cycle. So those bands are going to work also late into the night because there's enough ionization from the SFI to supercharge the ionosphere, right? Now, the ENF layers of the ionosphere are so highly charged with a high SFI, they'll continue to allow propagation at under 22 megahertz. That's why you'll see night good for this band, and that's what we see today. So they work good. Now, 10 and 12 are grouped together as well, and the reason why they are, this is about, we're over 24 megahertz now. These are daytime bands, and they very rarely work at the solar minimum. Rarely. But if you're in the tropics, you'll get them. You'll still get them. In most northern and southern countries, hard to get them to work. But when you get up close to the solar maximum, say 24 months or so before that 6-month period of the solar maximum, keep in mind, I don't want to lose you. That solar maximum lasts about 6 months to 8 months, right in there. So 24 months before that period starts, you're going to get those bands working into the evening. You will. You'll also have them during the day. And these bands will work during the day. In an 11-year solar cycle, they'll work 6. They'll work about 6 years. You'll get 10 meters during the day. It's that simple. Once we start to decline and get down towards the bottom, that's why 10 falls away. It's why 12 falls away. There's just not enough ionization in the ionosphere to be able to refract signals at those high frequencies back down to Earth. That's why. So let's get to geomagnetic field. Otherwise, we'll be here all night long, and I don't want to do that. That'd be bad. This is the geomagnetic field index. It's most commonly known as the KP. It indicates the level of disturbance in Earth's magnetic field caused by solar activity. Okay? This is what we have today, unsettled. And that's because it's a K3. That's the only reason why. The A12, remember, A is a 24-hour average of the K index. 24-hour average. The K index comes out every 3 hours. So the geomagnetic field is tied exactly to the K. All right? It says unsettled today. That's because K3 is unsettled. Okay? Let's take a look real quick at the K index. See, when you get to K3, it's still green. It's still good. But 3 is where it starts to be unsettled. 2, 1, and 0 are quiet. When you get to 2, it's called quiet. 1 and 0 are very quiet. So when you take a look at QRZ, for example, take a look at this. Here was from the 8th. So I've worked a while on this show. I wanted to make sure I gave you the best information I could. Look at what the K index is. It's a 2. Now it's quiet. You see the difference? But the SFI on the 8th was 168. Generally, if you have an SFI over 150 for 3 straight days and a K index 2 or less, you have the best DX conditions you can have. If that solar flux index is over 200 for 3 or 4 days, now you're making massive calls. Now 10 and 12 are working, they'll say about 2, 3, 4 hours after dark. They'll work that long. But you have to have those kind of conditions. And we've already experienced those. We have. Let's get back to today's weather. All right. So signal to noise level. This is a big deal. Signal noise level in radio weather indicates how clear and distinct the solar activity is amidst other interfering signals. Signal to noise, right? That means to overcome the noise, you have to have a signal that will reach the other receiver at least an S2 or S3. Has to hit that number or they won't hear you. That's what it means. So S2, S3, look what it was the other day. S1 to S2. But the geomag field was quiet. These two fields, geomagnetic field and signal noise level, are also tied together. So S1, S2, that's the signal noise ratio you need to be able to make a long distance call. Look at the blackout date. Look at this number. S20 plus. That was when we were in a severe storm. So when we're talking about signal to noise, you would need an S20 signal or higher in order to make the call. That's what that means. MUF US Boulder, this has to do with the maximum usable frequency. Okay? Maximum usable frequency is determined by using what's called the digisonde. Okay? It measures the level of the ionosphere, in this case, Boulder. They take a look at it every 15 minutes. All right. They take a look at which frequency is the highest that will be able to communicate long distance. It's measured every 15 minutes. And this is from Boulder, Colorado. That's why it says MUF US Boulder. Okay. So when you look at this, they're sending up every 15 minutes another radio signal, and they're going to see what exactly the highest frequency is that they can get a signal back. That's what it means. So today, take a look at that. It says on the MUF US Boulder, no report. Uh-oh. What did it say yesterday? Take a look at that. No report. So what do? Blackout day, look at this. No report. But take a look over to the right side of it now, up high. You see where the MUF numbers are? They're way past 18 megahertz. That's what that means. So you know the MUF is high. Okay, you know that. Maximum usable frequency is probably over 15 meters right now. That's the way it is. So when we look at that number, it typically will show what Boulder's MUF number is, that they've sent the digisonde up, they've received it back, they find out about what kilohertz we're at that's able to return a signal down based on what they're getting from the E and F layers of the ionosphere. That's what it does. The digisonde sends up a signal, goes all the way up, and keep in mind, look how high the F region is during the day. It's way over 300 kilometers up. So it's going way up, and it's trying to find out how far will a signal go and on what frequency will it be able to be used, which conduit. Think of a frequency as a conduit. It's a connection between you and a receiver somewhere else that you both can use. It's a connection, right? Solar flare probability, that's pretty common. That's something that makes a lot of sense. As we get higher in a solar cycle, you're going to see this number increase significantly, all right? That's what means if we're going to get a solar flare. And if we do, you'll see the aurora go up and the lower latitude is going to go down. So solar flare helps people that want to work the aurora. Okay? Messes us up. In radio communications, it really can screw us up. But for people who want to work the ionosphere, work the aurora borealis or the aurora australis, that helps. Helps a big deal. Absolutely. All right. We're now at the top right. Aurora. And just make it simple, okay? Aurora is the latitude of the aurora. Now, typically between 60 and 75 degrees north and south. I think I said 65 to 75. That was wrong. It's between 60 and 75. When a solar storm impacts Earth's magnetic field, the aurora can drift farther south in the northern hemisphere and farther north in the southern hemisphere. Amateurs have developed ways to communicate by refracting their signals off of the little beams of light in the aurora. The latitude of the aurora is important for these radio communications, as the antenna for communications must be pointed towards the aurora. They need to know where it's at. Okay? Today it says band closed. All right. We're in the winter in the northern hemisphere. Southern hemisphere, 6, 4, and 2 meter E-skip could happen. They grouped them together for a reason. Okay, what this is 6 meter is a 6 meter first. We'll use that, but they all are the same. ES, EU. What this means is pretty simple, okay? It has to do with E-skip in Europe, believe it or not. No kidding. EU stands for Europe. So what's the chances of E-skip, which E-skip really, if you want a definition of it, is a ton of ionized particles in the ionosphere in one area. It's like a big cloud of ionized particles, And you can take frequencies over 50 megahertz. Then sometimes you can do it at 70 megahertz, and sometimes you can do it way up on 140 megahertz or so. And you can catch those clouds of ionization that are in the E layer and refract them back to somebody who's listening. That would be ESEU. That would be the conditions for 6 meters, 4 meters, and or 2 meters in Europe for E-skip. And again, E-skip simply is an unseen cloud of a lot of ionized particles that are in the ionosphere. It's how things work. It's how things communicate back down to Earth. That's all that means. All right. The MUF thing's pretty simple. It shows you what band and how high you can go on that chart. Okay. The MUF, again, maximum usable frequency. We don't use the LUF, which you'll use a lot on tests, lowest usable frequency. You won't see that on this, okay? It's not that important here, but it is to your test. Lowest usable frequency means the lowest possible HF frequency you can use to make a contact with somebody else through the ionosphere. That's what it means, lowest usable frequency. The lowest usable frequency, when it goes above the maximum usable frequency, means there's no communications. There's no way to make an HF contacts. That means turn your VHF, UHF radio on and have fun. HF just not possible. Maximum usable frequency is the highest frequency that can be used for reliable skywave propagation between 2 points on Earth at a specific time, depending upon ionospheric conditions. That's all it means, okay? And we'll close with this. MS, if you take a look how it says MUF and then MS, right? MS, this means actually latitude moderate, signifies a standard or average ionospheric condition, not particularly strong nor weak. It's used to provide a reference point for calculating the MUF. That's all it is. So think of it that way. It's basically just a baseline. That's all it is. Finally, predicting propagation. MUF-MS values are often used in propagation prediction tools to estimate the best frequencies for communication based on, listen carefully, time of day, location, and the amount of solar activity. That's it. So that's why we start with the ionosphere, because this is where we make our calls, right? When we have a bad amount of solar radiation hit the Earth, right? We have a big time solar event like we did on the first day of this year. Man, everything was dead. Look, there's no HF. VHF, fine. Perfect for VHF. You could run the Aurora if you want to at night. That's fine. See what it says for Aurora, top right? Mid-latitude Aurora. Means you can make auroral calls. Perfect. Right? But when we get those big storms like that, that blocks all of our HF communications. And I think for me, and I'm going to ask for forgiveness, I talk a lot about HF here. I talk a lot about, high frequency. Because what I like to do. It's not wrong, but I need to do more for VHF people and UHF people. I don't think I'll ever be able to figure out super high frequency. Sorry about that. But that's basically solar weather in a nutshell of what all these numbers mean when you go over to QRZ and you see all these numbers and they're different places and why they are what they are. Know this, we're at the top of the solar cycle now. I mean, that's not my opinion. That's actually where we're at. You can see it on SolarHam. This is where the solar max is. We're in that 6 to 8 month period where we're going to have great communications. With that is going to come blackouts because we get a lot of solar activity and it hits Earth and our magnetosphere tries to block what it can. But remember, once our magnetosphere is jolted to protect Earth's surface, we have pretty bad conditions out there because it makes it very loud. That's why geomagnetic field is impacted, because it's the magnetosphere that is protecting us from big storms from the sun. That's all it is. And as you hit the solar maximum, more and more of these events happen where it's just not a very good day to work amateur radio. That's about it. Remember again, E-skip, maximum stuff coming in at the E level of the ionosphere, and everything works phenomenally on frequencies that don't go long distance, like 6, 4, and 2 meters. That's it. Anyway, that's how to read QRZ weather. Thanks, guys, for the nice words. I appreciate that. I hope it wasn't too long. Certainly didn't mean it to be very long. Let me share a couple things with you real quick. I got this thing. It's funny. I get videos sent to me on Discord or on WhatsApp. Friends send me stuff. And a couple of them came in, and I had to share them with you because I thought they were funny as heck. First, Rodney from Holland sends me one. The landscape isn't real good on the video. It's done in, the real narrow mode, but it's funny. Just take a listen to this guy, what he's saying, as he doesn't follow the police's instructions. I know it's not radio related, but it made me giggle, and I hope it gives you a laugh.
Sir, have you been drinking?
Yes, I have. I've had 5 or 6 small batch bourbons.
That's a lot. I'm going to have to ask you to take a breathalyzer test.
Got a runner! Stop running! Try to catch me! Ranger Rick, stop! Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, woo! Yeah, look what I'm doing! Look what I'm doing! I handled this perfectly! This car's so powerful! Oh, yeah! Oh, wait, this is not my car!
He's in the police car.
I have a gun in my car! Yeah. Take it, Corman. Hey, play it cool. Play it cool. He's not gonna notice. Not gonna notice. Control my breathing. I gotta control my breathing. Oh no. He's slow. Officer, are you in need of assistance? I'm back up.
Stop the vehicle!
I'm back up.
Stop the vehicle now!
I see you.
Stop the
No, I
vehicle!
see you.
Get out of the vehicle!
Hey, here's the good news. I came back. Let's just talk about this.
I've seen the video like 3 times. Each time I see it, I laugh. Guy ends up taking the police vehicle, tears off. Oh, man. He'll never notice the accident. No, it's fine. You'll never notice it. Isn't that great? Yeah. I love that. Thank you, guys. Let me show you another one. And I don't, I better start this real quick, just with a quick announcement. So here it is. If you're ever on 10 meters at, like, let's say, for example, if you were on 10 meters at about 28.425 megahertz, let's pretend. You may hear something like this, but now it's not only just CQ and his call sign. Now he's also doing, get this, Parks on the Air. I'm going to speed this up to where it actually starts because it takes a while for it to go forward. All right, you ready? So here's a guy, good ham, working hard, and he's trying to make calls, Parks on the Air, and he's never encountered this guy. Check this out.
Parks on the Air, this is Kilo Charlie 4, Tango Victor Zulu. Parks on the Air, this is Kilo Charlie 4, Tango Victor Zulu.
Park to Park, Kilo 3, Juliet Romeo Zulu.
Vicky Parks on the Air, this is Kilo Charlie 4, Tango Victor Zulu.
Kilo 3, Juliet Romeo Zulu, Park to Park.
3, Juliet Radio Zulu, we're not interested in Park to Park, but 259 and 3791, okay?
QSL, you're a 5-5 to Delaware, Kilo 0229.
Here's the second activator.
Hey, this is Kilo Delta 4, Bravo Victor Golf, and you're 59 Georgia.
Can I get your call sign again? I missed it.
Thanks, this is Kilo Charlie 4, Tango Victor Zulu.
Can I get the second operator?
That's why we're not interested in Park to Parks. The operators are bad. This is Kilo Charlie 4, Tango Victor Zulu.
All right, I'm not putting you in my log then.
I mean, we're not interested. Y'all guys are bad guys. This is Kilo Charlie 4, Tango Victor Zulu.
Trick Vivian.
Kilo India 5, Alpha X-ray. Kilo India 5, Alpha X-ray. You're 5.
You're not going to my log.
Roger that. Good cop. In Arkansas. Happy New Year, 7:30. Okay, here's the second divider.
Okay, this is Kilo Delta 4, Bravo Victor Golf. You're 5-9 Georgia.
You didn't put either of them in there.
Another bad guy. This is Kilo Charlie 4, Tango Victor Zulu. I think it's 20 meters. I'll just be honest with you. I think it's the people on 20 meters. This is Kilo Charlie 4, Tango Victor Zulu, parked on the air.
What a dildo.
Okay. Okay, whiskey, Tango.
You are the most obnoxious, trumped-up, farty little snakehead it has ever been my misfortune to encounter.
I'm saying my goddamn call sign. Do you understand?
The number you have reached is not in service or temporarily disconnected.
Well, I'm a redneck, you know. Rednecks are a little bit ignorant, but there's two things you'll never hear a redneck say. Those tires are too big, and I don't know anybody named Bubba.
That's my boy!
Yep, there he is. Well, yep. So he's moved to 450 now. I always just use that as an example. Again, if you're at 28.450, for example, you may encounter him. You may not. You might remember. You'll never forget. Definitely working him for sure.
I talk to who I want to. I'm an American. You don't tell me what to do.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, today's topic question. Thank you, Rob, for sending that. This is funny as heck. Thank you, buddy. Got tears in my eyes. You know, yeah. I would hate to be the guy, right? The guy that there's all these YouTube videos about, and not one of them is very positive. It's like, no, I don't want that to be my rep. I don't want that to be my reputation. That'd be awful. Anyway, hang on a second. Let's just say, for example, we were using that guy as an example to say the Angry Ham segment came from that.
They don't write the old songs anymore. Yep. They only write new ones.
Let's just pretend that is exactly where the Angry Ham segment came from. Oh boy. True story. All right, first question. What is a rover? Okay. A special purpose de-expedition vehicle with all-wheel drive and camping gear, including generator and portable mast. B, an autonomous transmitter detection platform. C, a station that operates from several grid squares during a contest. Or D, an underwater FCC field engineer assigned to monitor amateur radio use at public events, in example, ham fests and conventions. I know. So which one of these is the answer? A, B, C, or D? And if anyone says E, a nice vehicle that's left on the moon.
Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Wile E. Coyote. Genius.
That'd be a lunar rover, but there you go. It parks on the air, you can be a rover too. Same thing. It works the same. All right, the answers are flying in now. Oh, that's great. His nick is microphone. Yep. It's true. Let's just say. Bill Myers, first in from Wisconsin, Kilo Alpha 8 Golf India Mike. He says, C, a station that operates from several grid squares during a contest. That's correct. Well done, sir. Yes, that's it. Also getting that, by the way, Kjell was almost there in Norway. He pulled real quick on that one. Roger McKeon got it. Wendy got it as well. Wendy, it's so good to have you. Thanks for coming. Dale had it as well. So did Barry. None of you guys were fooled. Every one of you got right. And Rodney did right. A vehicle that we sent into outer space.
No more gentleman stuff.
It's
From
true.
now on, you fight my way. Dirty.
Yeah, it's true. It's still up there, isn't it? Question number 2 today. What is a mill in ham radio slang? A mill. And this is really old, okay? This is not a term we use a lot. A type of telegraph key. B, a machine for grinding quartz crystals. C, a type of motor generator set. Or D, a typewriter. A, B, C, or D. First one right gets a big cha-ching, and we'll make you some applause up too. Good luck. A mill. We don't use this term because we don't use the item. There's your clue. I guess writers would use the item, right? Writers would. And InfoDog, good answer, right? Type of telegraph key. Key here, the one we're going to give you here, clue, we don't really use them unless you're like a writer. Like you're writing a book or I guess, what? You're old fashioned? Yeah. Type of motor generator set? Nope. And Bill Meyer says A? Nope. Steve's got A. Think of something we used to use like a typewriter. And that would be correct. InfoDog, well done. Yeah. D. Isn't that something? Yeah, it's a typewriter. Like, you figure like writers writing stories or books or whatever, they may use a typewriter, I guess. But boy, we just use word processors now, right? Last question. And I gave you one to make you happy.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Yeah, this is a tough question. What station was Kilo Golf 1 Foxtrot November? Was it A, Whiskey 1 Alpha Whiskey Portable Station? Was it B, the USS Wisconsin ship? Was it C, the U.S. Navy station at Fletcher's Ice Cap? Or was it D, White House Ham Station? A, B, C, or D? Let me know your answer. We'll give you a cha-ching and some big applause. Good luck. Oh, man. Love you guys. This is great. A special typewriter. Yes. Yeah, I know. I get it. Yeah, thank you. We're getting a little bit of static here from somebody in the building. B is Bill Meyer. He got to answer it that way. You see, he has to because he's in Wisconsin. That's why. No, it's not the USS Wisconsin ship. Close. Oh, Rodney, great. Thank you, buddy. Pop Alpha 9 Romeo Whiskey. He has C. Thank goodness, because he is correct. Well done, Rodney. It's like, why do I care? Kilo Golf 1 Foxtrot November. It's that moment like being, by, if you remember Beavis and Butthead. You see the guy like, anyway. Well, that's the program today. Grateful to have you. Thank you for being here. If you'd like to get your amateur radio license, go over to a radio club because they can help you to get your Mars station. That's great. It's Planet Mars. They're calling us. This must be a long distance, a real de-expedition here. My gosh. Greenland. So yeah, there you go. Gosh, it's fun hanging out with you guys. It's a lot more fun than staying downstairs by myself, that's for sure. I want to thank you for coming today. If you would like to get your amateur radio license, I'm going to plug a little bit for the Radio Society of Great Britain because they're really good at helping people too. They have a wonderful directory to help you find a local amateur radio club to where you live and then try and find an Elmer in that club. Do that because if you find an Elmer that's got a heart to help you, you're going to succeed. Guarantee it. Find the Radio Society of Great Britain online at www.rsgb.org.uk. That's www.rsgb.org.uk. My name is Larry Deal. My call sign Amateur Radio is Kilo 7 Hotel November. I'll try and roll back next weekend for you on Saturday. We'll hang out. We'll talk about VOA CAP, which is now on our website. Thank thank you, Rodney, for putting that on. Take a look at it and play with it. We'll talk about it on Saturday. Remember, Ham Radio Live is a Radio Dog production produced by JP Media. God bless you. Goodbye, everybody.
Some kids go when they sit and spin. Some kids go when they sit and spin. Some kids go when they sit and spin. Sit and spin. Sit and spin. Sit and spin. Kids just love to sit and spin.
Sit and Spin from Kenner.
This is the Voice of America, Washington, D.C., signing off.